Jayhawks are on the road tonight to take on the TCU Horned Frogs, and I've got three things to keep an eye on in tonight's matchup.
Hey, what's good, y'all? It's your boy JD6 here. I'm with my man. Shout out to KC Sports Authority. Make sure y'all go check that podcast out, man.
You heard the man.
In today's episode of the KC Sports Authority podcast, I want to do a quick overview of tonight's KU-TCU game where I've got three things to keep an eye out in tonight's matchup. But before we get into that, if you're new to the show, make sure you hit that like and subscribe button below. And thank you to all of our 1,000+ subscribers over here on YouTube. You guys are tremendous and couldn't do all this without you guys. So thank you so much. You can also hit us up on any of our social media, Twitter, Facebook, TikTok, and Instagram at KCSA Pod. And before we get into tonight's matchup against TCU, just a quick shout out. I want to recognize an episode we got going on. KU Baseball. The 2025 baseball season is nearly upon us, and I had the chance to sit down with the head coach, Dan Fitzgerald, last week to preview the season. Make sure you guys go check out that episode. It is currently up on our YouTube page right now as well. A lot of fun talking baseball with him, and so if you haven't done so yet, go check that one out. But KU takes on TCU tonight, and I got three things to watch in tonight's matchup as they go on the road. KU, who has not been tremendous on the road this year, pretty much all their losses have come on the road, but want to get into three things in this matchup that I am keeping my eye out on to see how the Jayhawks look. And first one starts with no KJ. Bill Self has announced that KJ Adams is going to miss several games, and this is going to be one of those. Now, we saw one matchup this last weekend without KJ against K-State, and while the offense had a tremendous uptick with better spacing on the floor, the defense struggled. Now, K-State, a little bit different matchup. They were playing two bigs, and KU really didn't have the traditional two-big lineup because Flory, who started, is the backup five, so we didn't get to see a whole lot of the two of them. So how are things going to look tonight? I think this is a little bit different matchup. I am anticipating Flory still gets the start possibly because he's the more productive player right now. But this is a matchup we might see a lot of Ryland Griffen and AJ Storr at the four in what could be a little bit better matchup where TCU doesn't really play the traditional two big lineup. Their four-man is about 6'7", 6'8", so a little bit more favorable matchup potentially for Ryland Griffen and AJ Storr. So I'm curious to see what lineups does Bill Self throw out there? How much of the Flory and Hunter lineup do we get? How much run time do AJ and Ryland get? Both still without KJ, played less than 20 minutes. Ryland barely got 12 minutes the other night. AJ barely cracked 17 minutes, and they looked okay. Nothing great, but this is a matchup where I think both these guys have the potential to have an impact in this game. Primarily Ryland Griffen. I'm looking at him as one. TCU, one of the things they struggle with is allowing a lot of corner threes, and I think that plays right into Ryland Griffen's game. So I'm curious to see how Bill Self utilizes him if they look to get him some open corner shots, or just if they give Zeke Mayo some more corner threes. But Ryland Griffen, to me, has the framework, the setup, the body build, the play style to have an impact in this game. I think KU is going to look to get in transition a little bit more against TCU as well, to keep things moving, and that's where Ryland Griffen steps up. So hopefully we see 15 minutes or so from Ryland Griffen, if not more. And if he's hitting one or two threes, I think we'll see an extended run time from him because he is one that matchup wise could have a big impact here. And then the other one, of course, is AJ Storr. I think all eyes are still looking at him. We want to know, is AJ going to fill the void by KJ? The AJ, KJ, a lot of acronyms on this team, a lot of short nicknames there. AJ, I think, is a guy that still needs to prove he's capable. Bill Self knows he's a tremendous athlete and a tremendous talent, but it just hasn't come together on both sides of the ball just yet. So can AJ step up in this matchup defensively, play a little bit more physical and aggressive, and utilize that athleticism he's got to pick things up? Because, again, this matchup could be better suited for some more AJ time at the four instead of just him playing the three. Because we know Zeke, DeJuan, and Shaq are all going to get the majority of the minutes at the guard spot. But this is one that, hopefully Ryland and AJ can find some good opportunity to step in and step up, because those are the two that need to do it. Defensively, though, without KJ, the rest of the team needs to step up. Hunter's got to have a better game defensively. He has been on the uptick as of late with his defensive capabilities. I still think he's somewhat of a liability without KJ beside him defensively. But if Hunter can give Ernest Udeh, who we'll talk about here at the end of the episode, a good defensive presence, then I think that would be huge. And of course, the guards got to just do their job. Dewan, Shaq are going to do their thing. Um, it's those other three guys, the Zeke, AJ, and Rylan. Can those three step up? Play the passing lanes well, play help side defense well, and force TCU to take some more contested shots. So that's the first thing I'm looking for. Who steps up in the absence of KJ Adams? And my hope is Rylan, Griffen, and AJ, of course. And I kind of gave you a roadmap of how they do that. The second thing I'm looking for in this matchup is Zeke Mayo's road production. Now, Zeke on the season is having a tremendous year. He's been the best of the transfers we've had so far. He is up there with Hunter and leading the team in scoring. However, Zeke has struggled on the road. So I want to give you a couple stats here on his splits. At home, he is averaging nearly 18 points a game on 51% shooting from the floor and 42.5% from three. But on the road is where things have been a struggle for him. In his road matchups, he's only shooting 36.2% from the field, 26.7% from the three-point line, and the most disappointing stat of all these I found was only 2 free throw attempts on the road. That can't happen. That's in these losses KU's had. Zeke Mayo has been not terrible, but not great. Um, the last couple matchups on the road, he had 12 at that Creighton game, didn't shoot very well from the floor. Only had 4 at Mizzou, again, did not shoot very well. Did score 17 at Iowa State this last week, which gives me some optimism and hope that from a Big 12 perspective, he's going to get some more production on the road. And he had 9 at Cincinnati. Now, I know Cincinnati, UCF, he didn't really need to do a whole lot in that game because they were pretty much had the game handled. But that is what I'm looking at. Can Zeke Mayo step it up? Can he find somewhere in the middle between that 51% from the floor, 42% from three? Can he go 2 for 4 tonight? Can he go 3 for 6 tonight from the 3-point line? Is he going to be in double digit scoring? I think so. I believe that. That's still KU's offense is him and Hunter, and I think both those guys need to have a big game to get a road win. So that's what I'm looking at here with Zeke. The free throws are the other thing that's concerning to me. Only 2 free throw attempts the entire season on the road, 1 at Mizzou and then 1 at UCF, I believe. So that also can't happen. We know this has been a struggle for KU all season, is getting to the free throw line. We got to have double-digit free throw attempts every single game. And if it's not Zeke and it's not Hunter, it's not coming from anywhere. So Zeke, road production is the second thing I'm watching for. I think he's going to be solid tonight. I expect a big game out of him. I think he's starting to play a little bit more aggressive, attacking the paint, looking to find his shot. And with the absence of KJ, there's a little bit more spacing there for him to work. So I think that shouldn't be too much of an issue. And then the last thing, the third thing I'm looking at tonight, and that's the matchup of former Jayhawk Ernest Udeh Jr. against Hunter Dickinson. Now, we can all go back a couple years ago. We know the freshman season of Ernest, along with Zuby and Zach Clements and Cam Martin and KJ, there was nobody that could solidify the center spot. KU elects to move on, I think, choosing to move on from most all those guys. Udeh goes in the transfer portal, heads to TCU, has an okay season last year, didn't really play a ton of minutes. In the KU matchup last year, he only played 20 minutes, had 2 points, 2 blocks, 3 steals, and assist. Nothing really exciting about that. However, this year, Ernest is having a much better season. He's got 28 minutes per game. Right now, he's averaging about 8 points, 8 rebounds a game. Big 12 play, he's looked pretty solid. He's coming off probably his best game of the season and of his career against Baylor on the road, 16 points, 15 rebounds. And on the season, Udeh has scored double digits in 6 of the 15 games, 2 of those coming in the 6 conference games. He's also had double-digit rebounds in 7 of those games, with 3 of them coming in conference play. So he's solid. He's a 6'11", 260-pound junior. He's physical, he's athletic, he's long. He's a guy that can give Hunter trouble. We've seen Hunter struggle against bigger bodied centers, as most centers do. So this is a matchup I'm really circling. You brought Hunter Dickinson in for a reason last year as the upgrade at the 5 spot. And of course, last year he looked great against TCU at home, scoring, I think, 30 points. And Ernest didn't really do much against him other than the flagrant foul. But Udeh's had a good year. So I think this is a tough matchup on the road. I think he's going to be physical from the get-go. So for me, this is a game Hunter has to come out and look solid. He's got to be physical. He's got to be aggressive. He cannot have the type of performance we saw against Iowa State, where really the effort was not there. we all know the rebound he lets go to Iowa State, kicks back out for an open three. That he wasn't responsible for the three, but as a senior leader, you got to put up some effort on both sides of the ball, especially in conference play on the road. So this is a matchup I am circling. Honestly, there's a little bit of me that I hope to see Ernest have a good game personally. I always love watching former Jayhawks, whether they transfer and move on. I always am keeping an eye on them. And Ernest is a guy that I think a lot of KU fans have had parts of the season this year where they're wondering, how different would this team look with Ernest at the 5, the way he plays physically compared to someone like Hunter, who's much more skilled offensively, but doesn't play the physicality, defensive presence that a guy like Ernest Udeh has. So I think this is going to be a fun matchup. Hunter has the opportunity to really draw some attention there. And without KJ next to him, again, the spacing will be so much better. So I look for Hunter to have a big game here. But honestly, I'm really curious on the rebounds. Both these guys average a lot of rebounds. Both are tall, long, athletic, and go get the ball. I'm curious to see can Hunter put up enough of a fight against Ernest on the boards. Last game, Ernest had 5 offensive rebounds. Can't allow that in this type of matchup. TCU is a place that we have struggled on the road since Jamie Dixon's been there. No matter how good they are or how bad they are that year, they are a well-coached team. They play well at home. They always come out. They're physical. They can attack. But I think there's a lot of opportunities in this game for KU to step in and make a difference here. So that's about all I had in this one. Outside of that, I think this is going to be a close game again on the road. If KU does pull it out, I think you're talking 3 or 4 points. I don't really see a blowout coming. TCU is a physical team, and I think Kansas has some identity issues to still figure out. The lack of KJ on the defensive side is definitely a concern. So if Ryle and AJ are struggling defensively and TCU's exploiting that, or Hunter's having a bad game defensively, they can certainly keep this close. But offensively, I like our chances. Again, KU's offense looked so much better Saturday without KJ alongside Hunter. Flory has still been quite productive, and if he stays out of foul trouble, he could be a good one too in this matchup against Udeh if Hunter's on the floor or Hunter's on the bench. Just seeing these two big athletic bigs go at it. So I think it's going to be a lot of fun. Expect Zeke to have a big game, like I said. I expect Rylan Griffen to have a big game. I haven't seen any betting lines on this yet, but if you can get Rylan Griffen 2+3 somewhere, I like it. I think he's going to have an opportunity to get some open looks. And I really like Zeke to have a big game on the road. I'm talking, close to 20 points, 3 threes from the floor. I think KU's got to go out and show that without KJ, the rest of the guys can step up. I think coming off of the last 2 games, the practices they've had, the way they looked offensively against K-State at home, I think there's going to be a lot more emphasis on the defensive side this game. And I think a guy like Rylan has an opportunity to play that part here. So that's all I got in this one. Just a quick preview. Looking forward to that one tonight. I don't think we'll have a recap this week, but we'll have some more KU basketball for you guys coming up. So just make sure you stay tuned, you stay up to date. You stay subscribed here on YouTube. If you're listening to us on Spotify, you can also give us a 5-star review over there. Seeing a little bit of our Spotify viewership uptick as well. So thank you guys if you're listening to us on the road. But that'll do it on this one. Again, hit us up Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, and TikTok at KCSA Pod. Leave your thoughts in the comment section below. Who's your X factor tonight? Is it Rylan Griffen? Is it AJ Storr? Heck, is it just a monster game from Flory? Would love to get your guys' thoughts on that. And we'll look forward to KU continuing to get back up in the Big 12 standings. They've got TCU, and then they've got Houston at home here soon, so that'll be a big time matchup. So a lot of great basketball in store. We're going to be without KJ for another week or so. So a great opportunity for guys like Rylan and AJ to really step up tonight, and that's what I'm looking forward to. But that'll do it for this one. Thank you as always, Rock Chalk, and we'll catch you guys in the next episode.